Radio Now 100.9's Indy Connection with Emily Metheny.
Hello, I'm Emily Metheny, your host. This week, I talked with Darcie Kurtz from Friends of Indianapolis Dogs Outside, or FIDO, about what the organization has been doing since the pandemic started and how that's impacting what they're doing now. So, Darcie, can you tell me a little bit about what FIDO's been doing in the past year?
Sure. So we have fortunately been able to maintain our operations to a certain extent. Most of our programs, for example, our alley outreach, we're literally driving outside in the alleys. So we could continue that almost unchanged. We also help people by building fenced enclosures. Obviously, that's outside. So we could almost maintain our normal level through after the initial period, the initial stage of COVID when nobody knew, what was going on. We slowed down a little bit really early on, but we were able to regroup fairly quickly and carry on. Another one of our programs is spay neuter transport. Mm-hmm. So we're out in the community in our vehicles, picking up animals, taking them to the clinics. That was fairly unchanged with the exception of some of the spay neuter clinics closed down due to COVID periodically. So that was impacted to a certain extent. One of our programs that was most impacted was our pet food pantry. That was previously inside of our building, and we may have had, close to 200 people maybe at one time in our warehouse building. So obviously that had to change. So we transitioned that to a drive-through pet food pantry, which has worked really well, and we're still doing that. So I would say in a nutshell, because the need for our services with COVID and the people getting sick and people losing their jobs and the economic downturn, the need for our services actually went up. People, our same clients who needed us in the past for help were still there, and then there were lots of new people that for the first time in their lives needed help and reached out to us for help with their animals. So fortunately, because most of our programs are outside, we were able to pretty much meet the needs through most of it. Kind of after that initial period where we weren't sure what was going to happen the next day. But once we got through that, we were able to pretty much regroup and carry on through most of the pandemic.
That's amazing that it just was able to work so well for your organization. We
were very fortunate. We added some safety precautions. So,
mm-hmm.
We always drove separate vehicles. We always wore masks. Fortunately, we're in a warehouse building, so staff and volunteers can kind of keep a distance.
Mm-hmm.
So we just were sort of uniquely positioned to be able to safely carry on with a few added precautions.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything that happened with the changes you made, like the drive-through food pickup? Is that going to stay similar to that, or are you going to go back to more normal as we come out of the pandemic?
That's a good question. We're kind of talking through that. We're kind of leaning towards continuing on the drive-through process. It's easier on our clients. A lot of our clients are handicapped, and to come into the building and stand and wait in line and then have to carry out heavy bags of pet food, it's a struggle. I mean, it's much easier for our clients to drive through our parking lot, and we've got a process down that
mm-hmm.
that is working for us. The only really concern with that is extreme weather, extreme hot, extreme cold, rain for our staff and volunteers to be out all day in that. But I think I think we'll figure out a way to continue on out there is where we're leaning.
Mm-hmm. And also, as we're coming out of the pandemic, are you seeing it start to drop off a little in people at the food lines and the people reaching out to you than it has last year, probably in the peak of COVID?
I would say our pet food pantry volume has subsided a little bit. There was a period early on in the pandemic where we were seeing like 10 times our normal new clients. I mean, it was really dramatic. But I would say that the people coming to our pet food pantry has sort of diminished to a certain extent. But our other programs, and I don't know if it's just, people are more and more aware of our services, but the demand for our fencing help is through the roof. A spay-neuter, because we assist with the cost of surgeries at our partner clinics, and we offer transport for people who don't have transportation. That has really increased. So I'm not seeing much of a drop in that demand, but we're always glad to help people get their pets fixed, and and our mission is really to get dogs off of the end of a chain and give them nice big space to run and play outside. So we're glad to continue helping. I will say though, in terms of those two programs, with the COVID did impact our partner spay-neuter clinics. So there were periods where the clinics were closed down. There were periods where they had to close down because of COVID. So, that's one thing now where we're really trying to help people who maybe couldn't get their pets fixed, earlier in the pandemic, before there are any more unwanted litters. We're really trying to help people get their pets fixed. Same with getting their dogs vaccinated for parvovirus, which is a disease that peaks in the summer months. There were periods where the spay-neuter or the vaccination clinics were closed. So that's something we're also really trying to help people get caught up on. And one thing I didn't mention, our fence program, we use kennel panels, and they're composed of steel. And right now there's a kind of a major national steel shortage, which I'm assuming is due to COVID, economic downturn, supply chain issues. So that's something that we have been kind of grappling with to maintain our supply of kennel panels so we can actually keep building fenced enclosures. So we've been kind of driving around the state and developing new suppliers to keep us stocked with these kennel panels so we can actually implement our fence program. So I think that's another program that has seen a hit by, all the kind of the fallout from COVID. But we're managing to get by.
And if someone knows a resource or they want to donate to FIDO and help you get those fences and help kind of with the costs for the surgeries and the vaccinations, how can they give to FIDO?
Yeah, so there's a variety of ways. Probably the best way if for us is for them to mail a check, and they just make the check out to FIDO. And send their check to P.O. Box 30069, Indianapolis 46230. We've also made it easy for people to pay online. Our website is FIDOindy.org. There's a big donate button there. They can also, donate by credit card online, and then they can also donate through our Facebook page, which is at Indy FIDO. And there's also a easy big donate button on our Facebook page to donate that way also.
Excellent. And if people want to get involved more as well and start volunteering at the pet food pantry or help with transport or the fencing project, how can they volunteer, and what are you kind of looking for?
They can contact us through our website, and there is a page on our website, how to help, and the email to our volunteer coordinator is out on our website. So specifically, we currently need volunteers to be assistants for our main program. So that would be our outreach program, where we literally, drive down alleys looking for dogs who need help, or following up on requests from citizens for help with their dogs. So we need volunteer partners to go out with our case managers and our outreach leaders. We also need help with our fence program. And the volunteers don't need to come in with fence building skills. we'll put them to work. We'll show them what they need to do. A lot of it is assisting the fence team leader with, helping with securing the fencing once the fence is up, helping with the loading and unloading. And that's a really rewarding experience for volunteers, where you may see dogs that, started on the end of a chain and were fearful. And once you get that kennel built and the dogs are running loose in the kennel, you see like this immediate transformation in their behavior. So that's also a really rewarding program. Spay neuter transport. Again, it would be an assistant to our transport leader. And it's, you're going out to homes where people, are struggling with transportation, and you're getting their dogs and cats loaded on our van, getting them to the clinic, and then taking them back home. And again, that's really rewarding to see people who really do want to take care of their pets with getting them fixed and vaccinated. And they're just typically really appreciative for our help. And then lastly, the pet food pantry is something that does need quite a few volunteers. It's always the first Saturday of the month, because it's a lot of work in a short period of time. So in about a 6-hour period of time, we're helping often around 300 families. So a lot of people are involved in pulling off that day. So, and that's often how we first start volunteers, because it's in more of a controlled environment. It's here in our warehouse. It's not out in the field. And once we kind of, get to know the volunteer and know, that they, are comfortable working with our clients, often then the next step is plugging them into one of the volunteer roles out in the field.
Mm-hmm. And is there an age requirement to be able to volunteer with FIDO? Can I do it with my family? How does that work?
So we do, to volunteer without a parent, it is 18 years old is our minimum age. So need to be adults to volunteer, just because we are out in the field. And then if children are with their parents, the minimum age is 14, but accompanied by a guardian, a parent or guardian.
Excellent. Okay, so, and all the information is on your website, and they can also find it through your Facebook at Indy FIDO, yes.
And then our Facebook page is FIDOIndy.org.
How many volunteers do you approximately use every month for your pantry?
On a pantry day, we've got, staff, we've got 2 or 3 staff, and then the rest are volunteers. And I would say on a pantry day, typically we work in different shifts, typically around 20 to 25 over the course of the day. And especially, when the weather's hot or cold, we try to work in shorter shifts. So we have more volunteers, that work for shorter periods. In the milder weather, we might have some volunteers that stay all day long. And in that case, we may, maybe have 15 to 20, but when we're working shorter shifts, probably 20 to 25. And that includes mostly volunteers, but a few staff.
Okay, excellent. And so you mentioned a little bit ago, Darcie, about your teams that are out in the field in the alleys.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how neighbors, if they see their neighbor's dog that's out on a chain, how can they get in touch with you? What should they be looking for?
Sure. So one thing that we ask people to make sure, that the dogs are truly living outside most of their lives. Some people don't have fenced yards, so they have to put their dog on a tie out, for 20 minutes or a couple hours on a nice day, and we totally understand that. But we ask people to keep an eye if you see the dog in the morning, or sometimes it's people driving by, driving to work, and they might see them on a chain. We ask them to check back later that day. Check the next day. And if the dogs are truly living out there, chained up or in a tiny pen 24/7, we do ask people to first start by calling Indianapolis Animal Care Services if they know, there are ordinance violations, which right now in the middle of summer would be it's over 90 degrees and the dog is living outside regardless of the temperature, or the dog is living outside and there's no shelter, the dog doesn't have continuous access to fresh water, the dog may have obvious flea infestation that's being untreated. So in those cases, we do ask people to first contact Indianapolis Animal Care Services. They have the enforcement authority. An officer can go out, kind of assess the situation. If the people are interested in making or willing to make improvements, the officers will put them in touch with FIDO. We'll go out, we'll follow up. This partnership has worked really well because, we're here to help, but we don't have enforcement authority. But by partnering with Animal Care Services, they can triage to us those cases where people do want our help, do want to make changes, and then it makes it easy for us to come in and help people make those changes. For people who want our help, and just, hey, I'm interested in getting my dog fixed, or I would like help with fencing. Anybody who wants our help can call us directly. Our helpline is 317-221-1314 is really the best way for people to reach us that want help.
And then, go ahead.
And then for people who maybe have tried calling Animal Care Services and they're not seeing changes, we're more than happy for them to call us, and we might check in with Animal Care Services and kind of help people understand what the situation is. Or if Animal Care Services has already been out there and we talk to them and kind of get the backstory, we'll go out there and then offer our help. But we always try to kind of triage those concerned citizen calls first through Animal Care Services, and the best way to reach them is through Request Indy, and people can just Google Request Indy, and it's a very friendly online process to report dog cases online, or people can call the Mayor's Action Center at 317-327-4622 during business hours.
Darcie, can I have you give that number one more time for the Mayor's Action Center?
Sure, 317-327-4622, and that's during Monday through Friday during business hours. The Request Indy online reporting process is obviously 24/7, and that's Animal Care Services prefers people report through that avenue because it goes directly into the inboxes of the animal control officers on duty.
Perfect.
But we do always want, like I mentioned before, we always want to emphasize with the public not to report a dog who's maybe just outside to take care of business for 5 minutes, because, and I know people they're wanting to do the best thing to help out the dogs, but sometimes if people are reporting those situations where the dog is fine, he's out for 10 or 20 minutes, that sort of bogs down the system for officers, or even FIDO, to help people who to help dogs who really need help, dogs that are truly living outside and living in violation of the ordinances. So we just ask people to kind of do smart reporting and make sure these dogs truly, really do need help.
And can you give kind of the guidelines one more time between just a dog outside, using the bathroom, or just enjoying the sun for a little bit versus living outside?
Exactly. So, there's some of the telltale signs are a dog who has pretty much a circular dirt path around the radius of where the chain can reach, or a dog who's in a pen where it's just mud or dirt where all the grass is worn down. In summer months, dogs that are living outside, and I know it's a little hard to tell from the street if the person's driving by, but frequently dogs who are living outside have what's called fly strike, where the flies get on their ears or their nose, and just the bite set up sort of a vicious cycle of kind of open sores. Dogs that you can tell are constantly scratching from fleas or have red inflamed skin. So those are some of the signs of dogs that are living outside. But in terms of sort of assessing the time frame, also, we ask people to not just see a dog once outside, whether in a pen or on the end of a chain, and assume they're living. Go back later in the day. Go back the next day. If you see the dog out there day after day or at different times of the day, that dog is probably living outside.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you know, in extreme weather, if it's under 90 and a dog's out for more than a couple hours, I would still call it in. You know, in extreme hot or extreme cold,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that becomes life-threatening. But some of it's common sense, but we do ask, you know, that somebody who sees a dog out one time or on a chain or one time in a pen, not immediately call animal care services unless, you know, there are other urgent signs, you know, just to go back, make sure the dog is out, you know, a different time of the day or day after day.
Mm-hmm. And as we start to wrap up, Darcie, is there anything you want to hit on one more time or anything else you'd like to add?
That FIDO's here to help. You know, I feel like with the pandemic, you know, pretty much subsiding, people getting vaccinated, I mean, we feel hopeful that, you know, we're on the other side of this, and we're here to help. So we just want people, if they need our help with their dogs, to call us. The easiest way to call us is on our helpline, 317-221-1314. We do build spay-neuter into all of our programs. So our pet food pantry clients need to be willing to get their animals spayed or neutered, and we can help them do that for free, along with vaccinations. To receive a fenced enclosure through our services, all the dogs in the home need to be spayed or neutered. We can also help make that happen. And again, for people without transportation, we can help with transportation also. And we just ask people to reach out. You know, there are lots of resources in our community for people so that they don't have to keep their dogs outside all the time. We want to help people bring their dogs in, help the dogs become part of the family. And so we just want people to know there are resources out there, and they just need to reach out to us for help.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thank you so much for your time, Darcie.
Thank you. I really appreciate this.
Thank you for listening. If you have questions, comments, or topics you'd like to hear more about, email me at emetheny, that's EMETHENY, at radio-one.com. Or you can message me on Twitter at EmilyDoesVideo. To hear any of the past episodes of Indy's Connection, you can go online to RadioNOW.com and search Indy's Connection in the search bar. Until next time, have a great week.
Radio Now 100.9's Indy Connection with Emily Metheny.